Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can address careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature, it is untouched by man? It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com. And those of you that use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I'm going to remind all of our listeners and viewers that we are in our April FijiWater.com sponsored promo. So you can listen to our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com, Monday through, let's do this, through the entire week from 12 noon. I don't have to go through the days because it's the whole week. And we broadcast live at WKAPFaith.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So at 12 noon Eastern Daylight Time and at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for all of our U.S. listeners. We'll do something later as the year goes on for our international listeners and viewers, but for our listeners and viewers who are in the U.S., at 12 noon p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the first three songs that you hear at 12 noon, 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, list those three songs along with your name and your email address and text that information, the first three songs, your name, your email address, to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected to receive a case of Fiji water from FijiWater.com, Earth's finest water from FijiWater.com. So, 12 noon and 6 p.m. every day. First three songs that play on the dot at 12 noon or 6 p.m. List those three songs along with your name, email address, and text them to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. You'll have the opportunity to be selected for a case of Fiji water, Earth's finest water from FijiWater.com. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who said, now that you are in your 30s, you feel like you are constantly competing with younger women for the attention of men. However, the men appear to want younger women. Well, here's the reality. So you've all heard me talk about beauty is fleeting, but here's the reality also. You were once the it girl. That's just the reality. You had your time as the it girl. Now you're in your 30s. Now it's the next crop that comes up. It's the girls who are in their mid-20s to 30. So let me share this for all of you ladies out there. And I know men are watching also, so I want to say you are going to benefit from this. Here's the reality. Men want a woman who is going to allow them the opportunity to marry, to nest, and to have children. Now, there are exceptions to every rule, but men are nesters. Look, I had this conversation with someone just recently. Long before today's society, men were called cavemen, and there's a reason for that. The reason is because we would only leave the cave to go and hunt. And then we would come back to the cave. And we want to nest. But we want someone in the nest who's going to be our companion, our lover, the mother of our offspring. Because truth be told, men are wired to build a legacy. We are designed for a purpose, and that is to reproduce the next generation. We're designed for that purpose. Everything else we do is part of what God appoints and purposes for our lives. But at the end of the day, we're looking for someone that we can do all of those things with in the nest. Now, let me say this. So when you were in your mid-20s to 30, let's say 25, because let me walk you through the whole process of this. You turned 18 once upon a time. That was half a lifetime ago for you. You turned 18. You went off to college. You're in college from 18. Well, if you started college at 17, for those of you, depending on when your birthday falls, 17 or 18, you go to college to 21 or 22. And then if you get a graduate degree, you go until 24. You become an attorney, 25. If you go to med school, that takes you a little further out. But here's the reality. At 25, you become a commodity. You become, and I know I'll get some emails about this, and I love hearing from you all and texting from you all, but this is the reality we're talking about. So at 25, you're considered to be in your very prime. Realistically, over 21, you are capable of becoming someone's wife. You can do that legally earlier than that, but you're capable. You've gotten your basic bachelor education. You've gotten an education, your bachelor's degree. But here's the reality. So now you become a contributor to the family. Remember the virtuous woman, Proverbs 31. But here's the reality. 25, you are starting your prime. And 25 to 30, you're in your prime. You get over 31, you start to become the woman who's not married. You're not off the market yet, but you've become the woman who's not married. And now what happens is, because what you were at 25, and this is men also, we're not at 30. We're certainly not at 35. So you go from 25 to 30, believe it or not, and then you go from 30 to 40. See, you got to understand, well, I should say 31 to 40. Because you got to understand, you don't get that 5-year window anymore, because now things start to change. Not just your body, but your attitude, because life has happened. You've experienced a little bit of life. So you got that 30 31 to 40 window to be able to get married, have children, have a family, if that's what you're going to do. But men start looking behind you at the 25 to 30 year olds. The men in your window, that 31 to 40 window, or 31 to 39 window, I'll say that, but it really is 40. That 31 to 40 window, men, they're looking at the hot girl, the it girl, the 25 to 30. Now, you are competing with younger women. You don't want to, but you are. And the reason is because now you're in another category. You've got to now decide the men that are looking at you now are the men who are 40 and above. And the reason is because you're still capable of having children, if God will bless you. You're still capable of having children from 31 to 40 I know people are having children over 40 also, but early 40s, but still, men who are looking at you now they are 40 and above. And the reason is because you're now in your mid-30s. And mid-30s men are looking for younger women. That's why you're competing with younger women. So you got to decide that now it's okay to be with someone who's more mature. You got to decide that it's okay to be with someone who is, older than you. But then you have to realize that they're going to have a different state of mind. Because men at every 10 years, the mind of man shifts. And realistically, it's about every 7, but I'll use the 10-year window to give you a little more room. Every 10 years, man's mind's going to shift. His mind will shift to what he wants to accomplish. So men are no different than you. They've got a 25 to 30 window, then they've got a 31 to 40 window. When they hit that 40-year mark, most men, particularly men who are having any success in life, they're starting to look differently. They're looking at life through a different lens. And you've got to start looking at life through a different lens also. You can't do in your mid-30s what you were doing in your mid-20s. It's not going. I can ask you, how's that working for you? It's not going to work for you. And I know a lot of people are not going to like what I have to say today about this because, everyone looks at life through their own lens. But I'm telling you what I know about the mind of man because I've been a man all my life. There's exceptions to every rule, but most of us are wired the same way. And the more we have success, the more we live by our wires. The way we're wired. And the reason is because if you're having some success, what has happened is it's worked for you to date. And so we continue on that path. Now you have to decide at this point what you want out of life because you're not going to be the it girl anymore. That's for someone else of that generation before, that 10-year period before you. 25 to 30, and then from 30 to 35 is a whole nother. You start to feel a lot of different things, didn't you? So the reality is, look, you don't really want to be the it girl anymore. Not at this point. You want to focus on how can you build a great quality of life for the future, and how can you be found by someone who will be working on that same path to build a great quality of life for the future. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. And we will move you over into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill. And if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. And this segment is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. So if you are in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will have the opportunity to virtually build out the type of Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, who's the general manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, and you're just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone schedule an appointment for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop off a loaner vehicle for you, and return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you say that men have been approaching you to take you to church and out to lunch and told you they heard this new method of dating on the broadcast. And you said you want to be wined and dined and not sucked into religion. Well, we're not trying to suck you into religion, okay? Here's what life is not about religion. Life is about relationship. When you develop a relationship with the Lord, it's no longer about religion. Religion is the structure for understanding how to get it right and what wrong is. And it's the structure for helping us to identify sin and resist it. Now, having said that, it's about a relationship. When you get in a relationship with the Lord, then you begin to become more disciplined. You begin to become more consistent. You begin to your whole attitude about life changes. Your behavioral pattern changes. Your level of consistency changes. Your diligence, your level of dedication, discipline changes. Even your spirit of excellence, wanting excellence, it all changes. So I'm delighted to hear that men are now, and I know you're not in our area, and I have to tell you, if you were in our area, I would tell you the men in our church, this is our focus. Our focus is dating with purpose, dating on a mission. And for those of us that are married, we live our lives on a mission. So they've been approaching you and told you that they've heard it on the broadcast. Don't hold it against me. They're not trying to suck you into religion. What they're trying to do is to date with a purpose. And so you said you've been approached by a couple of men who have said this to you. And here's the reality. They understand now that you cannot just date, and this is going to take me right into another communication, but you can't date for entertainment. You can't date for sport. You have to be dating with a purpose. And the purpose is that those men who are single are searching for a wife because he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. So we understand that. And now what you're telling me is these are men of God. These are real men who are looking for a woman that they can then become equally yoked, walk together in agreement, and build a great quality of life. So they're not interested in wining you and dining you. And here's what you've got to know. The men that you're talking about are men who want to play. They want to do the same thing you're doing. They want to date for entertainment. They want to date for sport. They want to date for sex. They've got their own motivations. But the reality is that the men that have asked you out to lunch are not trying to wine and dine you. Now, I've made the joke more than once that men are going to save money because they're not going out to high-end restaurants. That's what you do with the person, your significant other, that you are on the path of marriage. That's what you do with them. We've been doing this all wrong. We've been taking women out, spending a lot of money, trying to date, because at the end of the night, we want to bed them down. Well, those days are over. What we're looking for, first of all, is a godly woman. Second of all, we're looking for a woman who wants to become a wife. And when we find that, we know we've got something good. We know we're going to have favor of the Lord, and we know we can build a great quality of life together. So don't hold it against me because men are now realizing that this is a much more effective and efficient way of finding the wife that they desire to spend the rest of their life with. We've been doing this thing all wrong. Listen, and so what I want to say to you is, if they are asking you to go to lunch go to church and out to lunch with them, if you are really interested in being married and being married to a godly man, then go. If you're not, tell them no thank you. You'll find someone who wants to play around and wine you and dine you. But those days are over for any man that's been listening to this broadcast, okay? Because we're doing things a whole different way. And that is, we're trying to live a godly life, and we all want a woman. For those of us that are married, we're blessed to have one. Those that are single are searching for a wife, so that when they find a wife, they'll find a good thing and obtain favor of the Lord. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by our new sponsor for 3D, the Daily Divine Direction. This segment is brought to you by Comcast Business. If you desire to be more effective and efficient in business, call Eunice at Comcast Business at 603-222-7706. The code is Pastor Pope, and you will receive a $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying gig bundle. Remember, again, if you want to be more effective and efficient in business, go to Comcast Business, call Eunice at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and you will receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying bundle. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you need a man who makes a high income to live the lifestyle you desire to live. However, you say you keep meeting middle-class men who are not making any more money than you are making. So let me just say this to you. First of all, you have to ask yourself, why do you think you're prepared to meet someone who is living at a higher level than you're living? Because if all you're doing is chasing money, you've got to ask yourself is, why do you deserve that? You are right where God would have you to be. That's the first thing. But the second thing you've got to realize is that if you meet someone that makes the same money that you're making, and you two get married, your household income has just doubled. Sure, there's two of you in the house, but your household income just doubled. And it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you manage. And the problem that most people have is that they're wasting a lot of time in life. And if you're wasting time, I can tell you, you're also wasting your money. So it's about how much money that you manage. So you're just going to have to recognize that, first and foremost, the reason you keep meeting men who are making the same money that you're making is because you're meeting men who are on your level. And truth be told, you're not ready to meet men at a different level. And the reason that you're not ready to meet men at a different level is because you're only thinking about the lifestyle. You're not thinking about the responsibility. See, to whom much is given, much is required. So the more you have, the more responsibility you have. So you have to recognize that the two are synonymous. And if you're only looking to improve your lifestyle can be improved just by meeting someone who is making the same money you're making, and the two of you get married because your income just doubled. Your household income just doubled. And people don't think about things in those terms. They're only chasing the illusion of something more. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot meet someone who's at a different level, who makes more money than you make, who makes a higher income than you have. But with that person is going to come some additional responsibility. Because when you have a higher income, that generally goes with more responsibility of you either have a business, you have investments, you have employees, you have children, there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with success. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. So that automatically tells you that when you meet someone who's at a higher level of income, more responsibility comes with that. And the reason that I know you're not willing to accept higher responsibility is because the men you're meeting are the men at your level. That means you're going to the places where the men at your level go. See, this is not really as complicated as we make it, but it's the reality of life. So, you could fall and bump your head. Lightning can strike, but when you are trying to accomplish something specific, you've got to know that you've got to be very intentional about everything you do. So one of the things I've told many women is that when you want to meet someone of a higher caliber, you have to go to places where those people are found. That's just a reality. You've got to take up different activities that people at your current level are not involved in. People at your current level are still going to brunches and hanging out at clubs. That's what they do. They might go to the gym. That's what they do. But they're not necessarily involved in charitable events or philanthropic activities or even golf and tennis, and they're still chasing the next trip. They're still hanging out at the clubs. We all like sporting events. You can, there's nothing wrong with going to sporting events. Different calibers of people go to sporting events, but they're not going to be at the sporting event looking for you. That's their form of entertainment. You have to be in an environment that is conducive for you to meet someone who's of a different quality. Now, the key to that also is you put yourself in that environment, then there's going to be more responsibility that comes with that. And here's the pushback I always get from some of the women who communicate looking for daily divine direction. Well, most of those men are married. Well, they are. but there are some single ones. There are some divorced ones. But remember, to whom much is given, much is required. The next level requires more responsibility. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man can need. If you're not in those areas, go to ctshirts.com and order from Charles Tyrwhitt. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at their retail store. They have everything that you could possibly need. Home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. Or you can order from The White